The ex-wife walked in on her sterile, wealthy CEO and found her sister on his lap. He cries instantly. The lab results crushed in Joseph Carter's trembling hand confirmed what the doctor had just told him. He would never father a child of his own. He stood frozen in the sterile examination room, white walls closing in as the doctor's words faded to static. Joseph Carter, 35, biotech genius with $500 million to his name, couldn't produce the one thing money couldn't buy. Hi viewers, kindly tell us where you're watching from and what time it is. Warm welcome to the family. Enjoy the story. There are options, Mr. Carter, the doctor continued, voice gentle but clinical. Donor sperm, adoption. Thank you. Joseph cut him off, sliding the papers into his designer jacket. I'll consider everything. Outside, San Francisco's fog rolled between glass skyscrapers as Joseph's driver navigated toward Russian Hill. His sleek penthouse overlooking the bay felt suddenly hollow, floor-to-ceiling windows framing a life that looked perfect from the outside while crumbling within. He poured himself 3 fingers of bourbon, the amber liquid catching sunset light. 3 years of secret tests, specialists, and experimental treatments had led to this final verdict. 3 years of hope dissolving with each negative result. His phone buzzed Jasmine. Her beautiful face lit up his screen, unaware that the foundation of their future had just collapsed. Hey babe, he answered, forcing brightness into his voice. Just checking if we're still on for dinner? I've got big news about the Brooklyn Community Center funding. Her excitement pierced him. This brilliant, passionate woman from Harlem had chosen him, believing in the future they planned. Children had always been part of that vision. Their genes combined into little miracles with her smile and his eyes. Wouldn't miss it, he replied, swallowing hard. After hanging up, Joseph opened his laptop and deleted the email from his doctor. His thumb hovered over the attached PDF, the official confirmation of his sterility, before deleting that too. Evidence erased with a click. That night, as Jasmine talked animatedly about her nonprofit's expansion, Joseph watched her, memorizing the way her hands moved when she spoke, how her eyes lit up describing the children her program would help. You know what would make tonight perfect? She asked, reaching across the table. What's that? Let's stop my birth control. I'm ready, Joseph. Let's make a baby. His heart stopped. The restaurant noise faded as sweat beaded along his hairline. Tonight, he managed. Why not? We've talked about it for years. I'm 32. You're 35. We're financially set. What are we waiting for? Later, in their bedroom, Jasmine's body pressed against his, her skin warm and soft beneath his fingertips. She whispered promises about their future family between kisses that tasted like wine and hope. Joseph responded with desperate passion, burying his guilt in physical connection, knowing each touch was built on lies. After she fell asleep, Joseph stood at the window overlooking the glittering city. 12 stories below, cars crawled through fog like luminous insects. His reflection stared back, successful, handsome, hollow. He had everything. Revolutionary biotech company curing genetic diseases, wealth beyond imagination, and a woman who loved him completely. Everything except the ability to give her the one thing she wanted most. As he deleted the doctor's contact from his phone, Joseph made a decision that would eventually cost him everything. Jasmine would never know the truth. Have you ever received life-changing news that shattered your future? How long would you hide it from someone you love? What price would you pay to protect them from heartbreak? Even if that protection was built on deception, drop your thoughts below about what you do in Joseph's position. Would you tell the truth immediately or protect the one you love from pain? She said, I do, beneath California's sunshine, not knowing the first lie was already between them. Golden Gate Park bloomed with spring flowers as Jasmine Brown became Jasmine Carter. 200 guests watched the Brooklyn activist marry Silicon Valley's golden boy, worlds colliding in a celebration that graced both tech blogs and social justice magazines. You look beautiful, Joseph whispered as they swayed to their first dance. Jasmine smiled up at him, radiant in ivory lace. I can't believe we did it. Brooklyn meets Bay Area. The merger of the century, he joked, twirling her beneath crystal chandeliers. 6 months had passed since his diagnosis. 6 months of fertility vitamins she thought they both took, temperature tracking she believed mattered, and late-night conversations about baby names that stabbed him with each suggestion. The wedding photos captured nothing of his inner turmoil, only showing a handsome tech mogul gazing adoringly at his bride. Her family, loud and loving from Harlem, mixed with his Silicon Valley investors and Stanford classmates. Her sister, Tamara, rising fashion designer from Los Angeles, made the breathtaking gown that hugged Jasmine's curves. To the future Carters, Tamara toasted, champagne flute raised high. May your children inherit Joseph's brains and Jasmine's heart. Joseph's smile never faltered as glasses clinked around him. Later, as their private jet soared toward Bora Bora for their honeymoon, Jasmine curled against him, head on his chest. "I can't wait to start our family," she murmured, fingers tracing patterns on his shirt. "Not right away, but soon. A year, maybe." His throat tightened. "No rus. Let's enjoy being married first." The honeymoon suite opened to turquoise waters and white sand. Joseph had spared no expense. Private beach, personal chef, infinity pool overlooking the Pacific. Paradise designed to distract. That first night, Jasmine emerged from the bathroom in nothing but moonlight, her body a silhouette of curves against the ocean backdrop. Joseph's breath caught, not just from desire, but from the overwhelming love that made his deception feel both necessary and unforgivable. Their bodies came together with passionate intensity. Joseph poured everything into physical connection, as if his devotion could somehow overcome biology. Jasmine matched his fervor, uninhibited and trusting. "I love you," she breathed against his neck, her body arching beneath his. "All of you. Not all of me," he thought. "Not the broken parts." Afterward, tangled in Egyptian cotton sheets, her whisper against his neck about beautiful babies someday made him hold her tighter, as if he could squeeze away the guilt expanding in his chest. Morning found them on their private deck, breakfast untouched as they made love again under the rising sun. Joseph memorized every detail, her taste, her sounds, the way her fingers pressed into his shoulders. "What's going on in that brilliant mind?" she asked later, catching him watching her as she swam. "Just thinking how lucky I am." "We both are," she said, floating on her back, sunlight dancing across wet skin. "This is just the beginning, Joseph. Everything we've talked about, changing the world, building a family, it's all happening." He waded out to her, gathering her wet body against his chest. "I promise to give you everything I can." Carefully chosen words. Everything he could, not everything she wanted. When have you built something beautiful on hidden truths? Is love real if parts remain concealed? Would you rather know a painful truth or live in beautiful ignorance? Share your thoughts below about relationships built on partial honesty. Have you ever loved someone while hiding part of yourself? 3 years later, Joseph built an empire curing genetic diseases while the most intimate genetic failure consumed him from within. Carter Innovations headquarters dominated San Francisco's skyline. 20 floors of glass and innovation where scientists re-engineered the human genome to eliminate hereditary conditions. The irony wasn't lost on Joseph that he spent billions helping others have healthy children while his own reproductive future remained a sealed file in his private server. "The Morgan partnership is confirmed," his assistant announced, entering his corner office with coffee. "They're committing $500 million to the childhood leukemia cure." Joseph nodded, distracted by the calendar notification on his phone. Jasmine ovulating. Home early. 3 years of marriage. 3 years of carefully timed fertility efforts leading nowhere. 3 years of watching hope dim in Jasmine's eyes with each negative test. "I need to leave by 5, he said, dismissing his assistant. At home, Jasmine had transformed their bedroom. Candles flickering, silk sheets turned down. She greeted him wearing lingerie that once would have stopped his heart. "I tracked everything," she said, voice tight with forced optimism. "Today's perfect." Joseph kissed her, tasting wine and desperation. Their lovemaking had become mechanical, positions optimized for conception, spontaneity sacrificed for timing, clinical, scheduled. The passion that once burned between them reduced to reproductive strategy. Afterward, Jasmine elevated her hips with a pillow, tears leaking silently onto the sheets. "Maybe we should see someone," she whispered. "A specialist." Joseph stared at the ceiling. It's only been 3 years. 3 years without even a false positive, Joseph. Something might be wrong. His heart hammered. "Let's give him more time. I'm 35 now. Time isn't unlimited." He rolled over, pulling her against his chest to hide his expression. "I have the best medical researchers in the world. If we need help, we have access." 2 weeks later, her period arrived. Joseph found her sitting on their bathroom floor, test stick in hand, shoulders shaking with silent sobs. "We'll keep trying," he offered weakly, knowing each attempt only prolonged his inevitable exposure. "I made an appointment," she said, voice hollow. "For both of us. Fertility clinic next month." Panic flared. "I can't. The Tokyo investors." "Reschedule them," Jasmine snapped, standing suddenly. "This matters, Joseph. Unless your company matters more than our family." The question hung between them, loaded with unspoken accusations. That night, while Jasmine slept, Joseph emailed a fertility specialist in Los Angeles. A doctor who owed him favors and valued discretion. A doctor who would say whatever Joseph needed. 2 weeks later, Jasmine's phone pinged during their anniversary dinner at French Laundry. Joseph watched her expression shift as she read the message. "The fertility clinic confirmed our appointment," she said, looking up with fragile hope. May 15th. Joseph's phone buzzed simultaneously. The calendar notification flashed on his screen. "Fertility specialist. Cancel." Her eyes caught the screen before he could hide it, her voice barely audible. "Why would you cancel that? Would you continue faking tests and appointments to shield someone from pain? Is prolonging hope crueler than revealing devastating truth? Comment below if you've been caught in a web of lies that started with good intentions. Is there ever a right time to shatter someone's dreams? The crystal champagne flute shattered against the Los Angeles hotel wall, mirroring how quickly their marriage cracked once truth emerged. 3 years, Jasmine screamed, mascara streaming down her cheeks. 3 years of temperature tracking, dietary changes, times sex, all while you knew. Joseph stood frozen in their presidential suite at the Beverly Wilshire, still wearing his tuxedo from the Children's Medical Foundation gala downstairs. The irony cut deep. Honored tonight for funding pediatric genetic research while his marriage imploded over his own genetic failure. "I wanted to tell you," he managed, voice breaking. "When? After 5 years? 10? After I blamed myself? After I thought my body was failing us?" She paced barefoot, evening gown swishing across marble floors. "I found everything, Joseph. The original diagnosis. The fake appointments. The payoffs to doctors. Hours earlier, they'd been the golden couple on the red carpet. Jasmine stunning in Tamara's custom creation. Joseph distinguished in Tom Ford. They'd smiled for cameras, his arm around her waist, her hand on his chest. A perfect tableau concealing perfect lies. While Joseph networked with donors, Jasmine had reached for his phone to take photos of celebrities for her community center social media. Instead, she found his briefcase unlocked in the coat check room, containing the medical file he'd hidden for years. "I was protecting you," he pleaded now, reaching for her. She recoiled. From what? The truth? Or from making my own choices? From pain? From disappointment? No. She shook her head, tears falling freely. "You protected yourself. From losing me." The accusation landed like a physical blow. "Would you have married me?" he asked, voice barely audible. "If you'd known I couldn't give you children?" Jasmine stared at him, fury morphing to something worse, pity. "That question proves you never knew me at all." She turned away, gathering scattered belongings from around the suite. Joseph watched helplessly as she moved with methodical precision, zipping her suitcase with finality. "Where are you going?" "Home. My real home. Not that glass prison in San Francisco." "Jasmine, please. We can still have children. Donors, surrogates, adoption. This isn't about children," she exploded, whirling to face him. It's about trust, about building a life on truth instead of convenience. Joseph sank onto the edge of the bed, head in his hands. I was afraid of losing you. Well, congratulations, she said, voice suddenly calm. Your fear made it happen. She moved toward the bathroom. Joseph heard the shower start, knowing she was washing away tears before facing the public. They'd arrived together. Leaving separately would trigger speculation neither wanted. While she showered, Joseph stared at the medical report that had destroyed everything. The clinical language described his condition in merciless detail. Azoospermia. Complete absence of sperm production. Patient Joseph Carter exhibits irreversible sterility due to genetic factors. Water stopped. Jasmine emerged wrapped in a hotel robe, eyes red but dry, face freshly washed. I'll sleep in the second bedroom, Joseph offered. We'll fly back tomorrow and talk. There's nothing to talk about. She dressed with her back to him, slipping into jeans and a sweater, so different from the glamorous woman who'd walked the red carpet hours earlier. At least let me explain. I read it all, Joseph. Every test, every consultation, every specialist who told you it was hopeless. Her voice cracked. While I cried monthly over negative pregnancy tests, you sat there offering empty hope. She packed her bags while he showered, leaving nothing but her wedding ring on the nightstand and 3 words scrawled on hotel stationery. Truth matters most. Have you ever discovered a betrayal that changed everything you believed about someone? How much deception justifies walking away from love? Would you forgive someone who lied to keep you, or respect someone who risked losing you with truth? Share your thoughts on whether Jasmine should have stayed to work through this breach of trust, or if leaving was her only option. Back in her Harlem brownstone, Jasmine built walls higher than Manhattan skyscrapers while across the country, Joseph's empire began to tremble. Spring rain tapped against century-old windows as Jasmine curled into the window seat, watching droplets race down glass. 2 months since Los Angeles. 2 months of ignored calls, deleted texts, and returned packages from Joseph. 2 months of rebuilding her life brick by painful brick. The brownstone, purchased years before meeting Joseph, welcomed her back without judgment. Creaking floorboards and plaster walls held memories from before her life became intertwined with California sunshine and Silicon Valley millions. You look better, Tamara observed, setting down coffee mugs in the kitchen that Sunday morning. Her sister had flown in from Los Angeles, concern masked as a casual visit. I am better, Jasmine replied, the lie almost convincing. Tamara studied her. He keeps calling me. And he's destroyed, Jazz. Whatever he did, he lied. For years. Jasmine's mug hit the counter harder than intended. While I blamed myself, tracked ovulation, changed diets, he knew the whole time we couldn't conceive. Tamara softened. Maybe he thought he'd lose you. Then he never knew me at all. Nights were hardest. The bed, too empty, too quiet, offered no distraction from memories. Joseph's scent lingering on a forgotten t-shirt. The way his body curved protectively around hers. The safety she felt in his arms. Safety built on quicksand. Work became salvation. Jasmine threw herself into community projects, expanding her nonprofit beyond Brooklyn into Harlem and the Bronx. Children's programs, education initiatives, healthcare access for underserved neighborhoods. Exhaustion became preferable to remembrance. Reporters called daily. Tech billionaires' marriage implodes made headlines across business and entertainment publications. Jasmine ignored them all. Ms. Brown, her assistant, knocked gently. The Carter Innovations Foundation sent another donation. $2 million for the South Bronx After School Center. Return it, Jasmine said automatically. That's the 5th donation we've returned. The board is asking questions. Find other funding. Alone again, Jasmine opened her laptop. Financial news dominated her feed. Carter Innovations stock plummets. CEOs, personal crisis, spooks investors. Breakthrough gene therapy delayed amid leadership concerns. She closed the browser, refusing the satisfaction of seeing his professional life mirror their personal collapse. The doorbell rang at midnight one rain-soaked Tuesday. Jasmine peered through security glass to find delivery men with dozens of white lilies, her favorite, and a small blue box. The card read simply, "I was wrong. I'm sorry. I miss you." Inside the Tiffany box sat keys to a new research center in Brooklyn, the Jasmine Brown Center for Reproductive Health. The deed named her sole director with full funding for a decade. The mission statement promised affordable fertility treatments for underserved communities. Jasmine dropped the keys like they burned. Even now, he tried solving problems with money and grand gestures rather than simple honesty. Later that night, restless and angry, she dug through storage boxes until she found it. The flash drive containing their wedding photos. She told herself she was deleting them. Instead, she stared at his face. Younger, happier, looking at her like she held the answers to questions he hadn't yet asked. The text from an unknown number stopped her breath. "What Joseph hid from you goes deeper than children. Look into Project Phoenix." Attached was a photo of Joseph with her sister Tamara in Austin. Have you ever thought you were healing only to discover deeper betrayal? Would you investigate further or close the door completely? What would make you reconsider someone who broke your trust so completely? Share below if you've ever discovered secrets that changed everything you thought you knew about someone. Tamara Brown's West Hollywood loft buzzed with fashion elite, but the notification from Joseph Carter made her abandon a $1 million deal without hesitation. "I need a minute," she told the Vogue editor, slipping onto her balcony overlooking Sunset Boulevard. Los Angeles sprawled below, palm trees swaying in evening breeze, while her phone displayed a message that made her heart race. "Found something about Project Phoenix. Not what we thought. Need to talk in person. Can you come to Austin?" Attachments showed laboratory reports with Jasmine's name highlighted, documents that made no sense. Why would her sister's DNA be in Joseph's company files when she'd never participated in his research? Tamara glanced back through glass doors at the waiting fashion executives. Career-making contracts lay and signed on her coffee table. A red eye to Austin meant walking away from everything she'd built. The decision took 3 seconds. "Family emergency," she announced, returning inside. "We'll reschedule next week." Confusion rippled across perfect faces. "But the Met Gala collection." "We'll wait," Tamara finished, already dialing her assistant. "Book me on tonight's flight to Austin." 6 hours later, her plane descended over Texas. Guilt twisted her stomach into knots. For 2 months, she'd kept silent about her communications with Joseph, caught between loyalty to her sister and growing concern about what she'd discovered in Los Angeles. It started innocently, Joseph calling for updates about Jasmine, Tamara providing basic information. Then came the file accidentally left in her studio when Joseph funded her fashion line years earlier. Medical documents, genetic research, Project Phoenix highlighted throughout. Their video calls had become longer, more frequent. Professional distance melted into late-night conversations about Jasmine, then about themselves. About lives before success changed everything. About dreams beyond boardrooms and runways. "You remind me of her," Joseph had admitted during one 2 a.m. call, his voice rough with bourbon and regret. "The same fire, the same eyes, but not the same person," Tamara had reminded him, ignoring the flutter in her chest at his gaze through the screen. Her rideshare pulled up to Carter Innovations' Austin headquarters, a modern glass structure rising from converted warehouses. Security whisked her to the executive floor where Joseph waited, tie loosened, sleeves rolled up, eyes hollow with exhaustion. "Thank you for coming," he said, crossing the room in 3 strides. His embrace lasted seconds longer than appropriate, his cologne triggering complicated emotions she refused to analyze. When they separated, professional distance reasserted itself like a shield. "Show me," she demanded. Joseph unlocked a hidden safe, removing a hard drive. "I found these files buried in encrypted servers. Someone's been collecting genetic samples from specific bloodlines for years, including Jasmine's." "What?" Tamara asked, throat dry. "That's what scared me enough to call you," he replied, eyes meeting hers. "Because they have your samples too. As screens filled with data, their shoulders touched. Electric awareness crackled between them. Inappropriate, unwelcome, undeniable. Joseph's fingers brushed hers as he pointed to highlighted sections, lingering a moment too long. "I shouldn't be here," Tamara whispered, not moving away. "I know," he agreed, eyes dropping to her lips. "But I didn't know who else to trust." Where have you found yourself drawn to someone you should avoid? What lines would you never cross for attraction? Have you ever stood at the edge of a decision that could destroy your most important relationship? Comment below about times loyalty and desire pulled you in opposite directions. Austin welcomed Joseph like California never had, a place where reinvention outweighed past failures. Until Marcus Bennett arrived with evidence that threatened everything. Texas sunset painted Joseph's office gold as he reviewed clinical trials for their latest gene therapy. For months since Jasmine left. 4 months rebuilding his company's headquarters in Austin's tech corridor, away from San Francisco's ghosts. The move had stabilized plummeting stock prices. Fresh start, narratives played better with investors than CEO's marriage implodes. New labs, new talent, new Joseph, clean-shaven, focused, deliberate. Only at night, alone in his downtown penthouse, did the mask slip. His assistant buzzed the intercom. "Mr. Bennett has arrived from Chicago." Joseph straightened. Marcus Bennett, his CFO, Harvard Business School classmate and oldest friend, had orchestrated Carter Innovation's financial recovery after the separation. His unexpected visit from their Chicago office raised immediate concerns. "Send him in." Marcus entered, impeccable in Tom Ford, expression grave. They embraced briefly before Marcus placed his leather portfolio on Joseph's desk. "We have a problem," he said without preamble. "Investors balking again? Worse. I found accounting irregularities dating back 3 years." Joseph's shoulders tensed. "Explain." "Research funds diverted to a shadow project called Phoenix. Hundreds of millions untraceable. That's impossible. I approve all major research expenditures under your authorization codes, Joseph, but I can't find record of you actually approving these transfers." The implications hung heavy between them. Identity theft, corporate espionage, internal sabotage. Joseph turned to the wall of windows overlooking Austin's skyline. For months, building a new foundation, and now this. Meanwhile, thoughts of Jasmine haunted every achievement, every setback. Last week, he'd attempted dating, drinks with an investor's daughter. Intelligent, beautiful, interested. He'd ended the evening early, her perfume too floral, her laugh too measured, her existence simply not Jasmine. "There's more," Marcus continued. "The funds trace back to genetic sampling programs targeting specific demographic groups, including Jasmine's family line." Joseph's blood ran cold. "What? Someone's been using your company to collect genetic material from selected bloodlines. The Browns are prominently featured. That's why I contacted Tamara," Joseph admitted. "I found fragmented files, but couldn't access complete records." Marcus's eyebrow rose slightly at Tamara's name. "You're in contact with Jasmine's sister?" "Professional contact," Joseph clarified too quickly. "Joseph," Marcus hesitated. "These operations require board-level clearance. If you didn't authorize them, someone with my access did." The realization settled like ice in his stomach. "Someone close to me." Marcus slid a flash drive across Joseph's desk, voice low. "I found what they did without your knowledge. Your name is on everything, but this wasn't your doing." Joseph's phone buzzed with security alerts. Tamara had arrived. As cameras showed her entering the building, Joseph realized the 3 most important people in his life were about to collide. "Tamara's coming up," he told Marcus. "She might have information we need." "Jasmine's sister?" "Here." Marcus's tone sharpened. "That's a complication we don't need. The board already questions your judgment since the separation." "This isn't personal," Joseph insisted, the lie bitter on his tone. Marcus studied him with narrowed eyes. "Everything about the Browns is personal for you. Is starting over truly possible, or do our secrets always catch up? Have you ever tried rebuilding while the past still haunted you?" What would you do if you discovered someone close had betrayed your trust? Share your experience with reinvention and the challenges of leaving the past behind. Tamara entered his Austin office like a hurricane in designer heels, her presence both betrayal and salvation wrapped in one breathtaking package. Lightning flashed outside floor-to-ceiling windows as Tamara strode past Joseph's assistant. Her silk jumpsuit and confidence commanded the room instantly. She acknowledged Marcus with cool professionalism before focusing entirely on Joseph. "Show me everything," she demanded, dropping her purse on his desk. Joseph nodded to Marcus, who pulled up encrypted files on the wall screen. Project Phoenix operates under Carter Innovations' umbrella, but outside normal protocols. They've collected genetic samples from specific family lines for years. Including mine, Tamara confirmed, arms crossed. "I found medical records from a routine blood test 3 years ago. They extracted DNA without consent." "Not just yours," Joseph added, pulling up additional files. "Your entire maternal bloodline. Your mother, grandmother, aunts, cousins." "And Jasmine," Tamara whispered, eyes fixed on her sister's genetic profile, displayed in clinical detail. Thunder cracked as rain lashed against glass. The storm outside mirrored tension within as the 3 studied records documenting systematic collection of Brown family DNA. "The question is why?" Marcus interjected, loosening his tie. "What makes your family genetically significant?" Tamara turned to Joseph, accusation flashing in her eyes. "This is your company. Your research. Not authorized by me," Joseph countered, hands spread. "Someone's using Carter resources without my knowledge." "That's convenient," she scoffed. "It's true," Marcus defended. "Financial records confirm it. Someone with executive access has been diverting funds for years." Tamara paced the office, heels clicking against hardwood. Joseph tracked her movement, unable to ignore how she commanded space, just like Jasmine, yet entirely different. Where Jasmine brought warmth and openness, Tamara radiated intensity and edge. "The samples focus on female genetic markers," Joseph noted, pointing to highlighted sections. "Something specific to the X chromosome." "Reproductive genetics," Tamara murmured, stopping abruptly. "They're studying fertility traits." The realization hit Joseph like physical pain. His own sterility contrasted against genetic research targeting fertile bloodlines. The connection couldn't be coincidence. "I need to warn Jasmine," Tamara said, reaching for her phone. Marcus stepped forward. "Not yet. If someone's using Carter resources illicitly, alerting potential targets could drive them underground." "She's my sister," Tamara fired back. "And potentially in danger," Marcus countered. "We need to understand what we're dealing with first." Joseph moved between them, close enough to catch Tamara's perfume, sandalwood and vanilla, nothing like Jasmine's preferred jasmine and lemon. "Marcus is right. We need more information before contacting Jasmine." The lights flickered as lightning struck nearby. In the momentary darkness, Joseph felt Tamara's hand grasp his arm for stability. When power returned, they stood closer than either had intended, her fingers still pressed against his sleeve. "I shouldn't have come here," she whispered, not pulling away. "I'm glad you did," he replied, voice dropping. Marcus cleared his throat. "I'll check system security protocols," he announced, giving them privacy with obvious reluctance. Alone, the pretense of professional distance crumbled. Exhaustion and fear broke through Tamara's carefully constructed walls. "I'm scared, Joseph," she admitted. "What if this connects to your fertility issues? What if they're targeting our bloodline because of some genetic advantage?" "We'll figure it out," he promised, hands rising to her shoulders. Their bodies moved closer as thunder cracked outside, her whisper against his ear halted by a security alarm and 3 words on his phone screen. "Jasmine knows everything." The message came from an unknown number, accompanied by surveillance photos of Joseph and Tamara in his office, standing closer than friends should. "Someone's watching us," Joseph breathed, showing Tamara the screen. Her face paled. "And they've contacted Jasmine." When does comfort cross into something more? Have you ever found connection in crisis? What invisible lines exist between supporting someone and betraying those you love? Share your thoughts on whether emotional intimacy can be as damaging as physical betrayal. Have you ever been caught in a moment that looked worse than it was? The New York rainfall couldn't wash away what Jasmine discovered in the encrypted files. Her husband wasn't the villain she thought, but the target. Rain hammered against Jasmine's Harlem windows as she scanned documents delivered anonymously to her brownstone. Genetic profiles, medical records, Project Phoenix research using her family's DNA without consent. Most disturbing was her own file. Comprehensive genetic mapping conducted during routine physicals at Joseph's Corporate Medical Center. Tests she never authorized, focusing specifically on reproductive markers. "This can't be real," she whispered, checking timestamps. The earliest samples dated before she met Joseph, before Carter Innovations existed. Someone had tracked her bloodline for years. Her phone buzzed with another anonymous text. "Your sister is with him now. They're looking for the same answers. Trust no one." Attached was a photo of Tamara and Joseph in his Austin office, standing intimately close. Jasmine's chest tightened, betrayal atop betrayal. She reached for wine, then stopped. Clear thinking required sobriety. Instead, she printed key documents, organizing them methodically across her dining table. Journalism training from her pre-nonprofit days kicked in. Follow evidence, confirm sources, identify patterns. Pattern 1, brown women targeted across 3 generations. Pattern 2, focus on reproductive genetics. Pattern 3, testing accelerated after she married Joseph. Her laptop chimed with an incoming email from a blocked address. The subject line froze her blood. Carter sterility genetic, not accidental. You were selected. The attachment contained laboratory records proving Joseph's condition resulted from deliberate genetic manipulation, not natural causes. Someone had altered his DNA during experimental treatments in college. Treatments funded by research grants connected to current Carter Innovations board members. Jasmine's mind raced. If true, Joseph wasn't just infertile. He was made infertile by the same people now collecting her family's fertility markers. Her wedding band, unworn since Los Angeles but kept in her jewelry box, suddenly felt significant. Had their entire relationship been orchestrated? Joseph's condition, their meeting, their marriage, pieces in someone else's game? She dug through storage until she found it. An old Stanford research journal featuring undergrad Joseph participating in revolutionary genetic therapies. The photo showed him alongside 2 professors and another student, Marcus Bennett. The same Marcus now serving as Joseph's CFO. Jasmine's phone rang. Tamara. She let it go to voicemail, unable to process her sister's involvement. 3 more calls followed, then urgent texts. "We need to talk. It's not what you think. You're in danger. Check your email. I sent proof." Opening Tamara's email revealed security footage from Carter Innovations showing Marcus accessing Joseph's files, authorizing transfers under Joseph's credentials, directing Project Phoenix operations. Outside, rain intensified. Jasmine moved to close her curtains when movement caught her eye. A dark figure across the street watching her building. Not imagination, not coincidence. She gathered essential evidence into her bag, heart pounding. If Joseph was a victim rather than perpetrator, everything changed. If Tamara wasn't betraying her, but protecting her, the shadow moving across her Harlem apartment window wasn't imagination. As glass shattered, Jasmine clutched the evidence and made one call. Not to police, but to the last number she ever expected to dial again. Joseph answered immediately. "Jasmine, someone's breaking in," she whispered, ducking behind furniture. "The files about Project Phoenix, they know I have them. Where are you?" "My brownstone. We're landing at JFK in 30 minutes. Hide. We're coming. We, Tamara and I. Jasmine, whatever you think about us." Another window shattered. Footsteps entered her apartment. "They're inside," she breathed. "Joseph, if something happens." "Nothing will happen." He cut her off, voice fierce. "I'm coming for you." Have you ever discovered someone you blamed was actually protecting you? How did that change everything? When is trust hardest to rebuild? Share your experience with moments when everything you believed turned upside down. Have you ever had to reach out to someone who hurt you because you had nowhere else to turn? Three hearts raced toward New York. Joseph and Tamara from Texas, Marcus from Chicago, each holding pieces of a truth more valuable than any company valuation. Joseph's private jet cut through storm clouds above Manhattan, turbulence matching the chaos in his mind. Beside him, Tamara gripped the armrest, knuckles white. "Try her again," Joseph urged, checking his watch. 20 minutes since Jasmine's call ended abruptly. Tamara redialed, shaking her head at another voicemail. "Nothing." "Faster," Joseph told the pilot through the intercom. "Whatever it takes." Rain lashed the windows as New York's skyline emerged through darkness. Joseph had made this approach countless times during his marriage, returning from business trips to Jasmine waiting at home. Now he raced toward her with her sister at his side, praying they weren't too late. "She thinks we betrayed her," Tamara said quietly. "You and me. We'll explain everything. Will she believe us?" The question hung between them. Trust, once broken, resisted easy repair. Joseph knew this better than anyone. His phone buzzed with a text from Marcus, landing in New York. "Meeting compromised. Possible internal leak. Be careful." Joseph showed Tamara the message. "Can we trust him?" "The security footage shows him accessing Project Phoenix," she reminded him. "He had your authorization codes, which either means he's behind everything, or someone has compromised both of you," Tamara finished. The pilot announced their final approach to a private airstrip near the city. Joseph gathered documents they compiled, evidence of genetic manipulation spanning decades. His own sterility engineered as part of a larger experiment. The Brown family's reproductive genetics harvested for research he supposedly directed but knew nothing about. "Why target your family?" he asked, not for the first time. Tamara shrugged. Mother never talked about her background. Said it wasn't important. It was important enough for someone to track 3 generations of brown women. The plane touched down with a jolt. Rain hammered the fuselage as they taxied toward the terminal, where a black SUV waited on the tarmac. "I arranged secure transport," Joseph explained, frowning. "But given Marcus's warning, we have no choice," Tamara decided. "Jasmine needs us." They dashed through downpour to the waiting vehicle. The driver, face obscured by cap and collar, nodded silently as Joseph gave Jasmine's address. Manhattan traffic crawled through flooded streets. Joseph's leg bounced with impatience while Tamara repeatedly called Jasmine's number. "Joseph," Tamara whispered suddenly, showing him her screen. A text from an unknown number contained a photo taken seconds ago, them inside the SUV, with a message: "Following my instructions ensures her safety." Joseph's blood ran cold. He caught the driver's eyes in the rearview mirror, cold, calculating. "Where are you taking us?" Joseph demanded. "Where you asked," the driver replied smoothly. "Unless you've received updated instructions." Joseph and Tamara exchanged glances. "Play along until they reach Jasmine." "Proceed," Joseph confirmed. His phone vibrated with another message. Photos of Jasmine bound to a chair, the Brooklyn Bridge visible through a window behind her, and text reading, "Project Phoenix dies with her unless you bring everything tonight." Joseph showed Tamara, whose face drained of color. "That's not her apartment," she whispered. "They've moved her." Joseph composed a careful reply. "We have everything." "Where and when?" The response came immediately. "Brooklyn Navy Yard. Warehouse 7. Midnight. Come alone." "It's a trap," Tamara stated flatly. Obviously, Joseph agreed, checking his watch. 2 hours until midnight. "We need help. Anyone we contact could be compromised," Joseph reminded her. "Marcus, my security team, even the police, we don't know how far this reaches." Tamara's hand found his in the darkness of the back seat. The contact, warm, steady, resolute, anchored him. "Then it's just us," she said quietly. "Would you risk everything to save someone who walked away from you? What does that say about love? Have you ever faced impossible choices with no good options? Share your thoughts on whether true love means putting someone's safety above your own, even when they've hurt you deeply. The abandoned Brooklyn warehouse held the 3 things Joseph feared most. The woman he still loved in danger, the truth he never wanted revealed, and the betrayal he never saw coming. Midnight approached as Joseph and Tamara crept along rusted shipping containers toward Warehouse 7. Rain had subsided to misty drizzle, Brooklyn Navy Yard eerily silent except for distant foghorns on the East River. "Remember the plan?" Joseph whispered, checking the tranquilizer gun concealed inside his jacket. Not lethal, but effective. Silicon Valley's golden boy had come prepared for confrontation. Tamara nodded, clutching the flash drive containing all Project Phoenix files. Her designer clothes exchanged for black tactical wear, hair tied back, face set with determination. "If anything happens to me," Joseph started. "Nothing will happen," she cut him off. "We get Jasmine and leave. Together." The warehouse loomed ahead. Massive steel doors partially open, faint lights spilling onto wet concrete. Joseph motioned Tamara to circle around back while he approached the front, dividing attention, multiplying chances. Heart pounding, Joseph slipped inside. Industrial space stretched into shadows, ceiling lost to darkness. Broken machinery creating a maze of metal and rust. In the center, under a single hanging light, Jasmine sat bound to a chair. Joseph's breath caught. Even disheveled and terrified, she remained the most beautiful woman he'd ever known. Their eyes met across the distance, hers widening with recognition, warning, fear. "Right on time," called a voice from darkness. Joseph turned slowly as Marcus Bennett emerged from shadows, Italian leather shoes clicking against concrete. "Where's the sister?" Marcus asked pleasantly, as if inquiring about dinner reservations. "Safe," Joseph replied. "Let Jasmine go. This is between us." Marcus laughed, circling Jasmine's chair. "This has always been about her family's extraordinary genetic profile. Leave her out of it." "Impossible," Marcus countered. "The Browns carry genetic markers we've tracked for generations. Extraordinary reproductive capabilities, immune resistance, cellular regeneration. Perfect specimens for our research." "Your research," Joseph corrected bitterly. "Not Carter Innovations." "Carter Innovations exists because of this research," Marcus replied. "Your breakthrough gene therapies? Built on data harvested from families like the Browns. Your miracle cures? Developed using genetic material collected without consent." Joseph stepped forward. "I never authorized." "You signed everything," Marcus cut him off. Too busy changing the world to read the fine print. Movement flickered in Joseph's peripheral vision. Tamara slipping through back shadows, approaching Jasmine's chair from behind. "Why make me sterile?" Joseph demanded, keeping Marcus's attention forward. "Insurance," Marcus shrugged. "We needed you focused on the company, not building a family. And we needed access to the Browns. Your infertility created perfect conditions. Desperation, medical interventions, genetic testing. All while we collected what we needed from Jasmine. You orchestrated our relationship." Joseph's stomach twisted with nausea. "Not entirely," Marcus smiled. "The attraction was genuine. We simply ensured you met at the right charity gala, with the right mutual connections. Nature handled the rest." Behind Marcus, Tamara had nearly reached Jasmine. Joseph needed 30 more seconds of distraction. "The board knows everything," Joseph bluffed. "Files transferred automatically when I entered this warehouse." Marcus's smile never faltered. "The board funded Project Phoenix from the beginning. Why do you think your sterility treatment in college was free? You were always the perfect front, brilliant, charismatic, ethical. Your name on patents while we pursued the real research." Tamara reached Jasmine, knife glinting as she quietly cut restraints. "The flash drive?" Marcus demanded, hand extended. "All copies, all evidence." "Here." Joseph reached inside his jacket, fingers closing around the tranquilizer gun instead of the drive. Everything happened at once. Jasmine sprang from the chair as Tamara cut the final restraint. Marcus lunged toward them, gun appearing in his hand. Joseph fired the tranquilizer, hitting Marcus's shoulder. Gunshot echoed through the warehouse as Marcus fired wildly before collapsing. Jasmine screamed. Tamara clutched her arm, blood seeping between fingers. She's hit, Jasmine cried, supporting her sister. Joseph rushed to them, stripping off his jacket to press against Tamara's wound. Their eyes met over Jasmine's bent head. Pain, fear, something else impossible to name. As Marcus stepped from the shadows with a gun, the three realized they'd walked into a trap, and the flash drive in Tamara's hand was what everyone was willing to kill for. How would you choose between saving someone you love and protecting yourself? What sacrifices have you made for family? Has a betrayal ever blindsided you from someone you completely trusted? Comment below about moments when you discovered a friend was actually an enemy, and how that changed your perspective on trust forever. Bullets ricocheted off steel beams as three former strangers became unlikely allies, bound by secrets that could revolutionize genetic medicine or destroy them all. This way, Joseph shouted, half carrying Tamara, as Jasmine led them through warehouse darkness. Behind them, Marcus struggled to his feet, tranquilizer slowing but not stopping him. His voice echoed through metal corridors. You can't expose this. Too many powerful people involved. They ducked behind shipping containers as another shot pinged nearby. Tamara winced, blood soaking through Joseph's makeshift bandage on her upper arm. The bullet went through, Jasmine whispered, examining her sister's wound. But she needs medical attention. Hospital means questions, Joseph countered, and anyone could be compromised. Jasmine's eyes met his, first direct contact in months. No anger now, only determination. I know someone. Off the grid. They found a service exit, emerging into drizzling midnight. Joseph's driver had disappeared, either fled or compromised. No time to wonder which. My car's 3 blocks away, Jasmine said, supporting Tamara from one side, while Joseph took the other. They zigzagged through industrial streets, sirens wailing in distance. Jasmine's hybrid waited beneath expressway shadows, keys hidden where she always kept them, behind the front wheel well. Where to? Joseph asked, sliding into the driver's seat while Jasmine tended Tamara and back. Upper West Side. Apartment on 97th Drive, Eliza Chun. We funded her clinic. She'll help without questions. 2 hours later, Tamara slept in Dr. Chen's guest room, arm professionally bandaged, antibiotics flowing through her system. Joseph and Jasmine sat at a kitchen table covered with Project Phoenix files, coffee growing cold between them. They engineered your sterility, Jasmine said, voice hollow as she reviewed lab reports. Harvard freshman year. Experimental treatment for genetic enhancement that specifically targeted reproductive function. Joseph stared at his hands. I remember signing consent forms. Never read the fine print. And they track my family for generations, Jasmine continued. My grandmother's exceptional fertility. 8 healthy children in conditions where infant mortality was high. My mother's unusual immune system. My reproductive potential. Joseph finished quietly. Silence stretched between them, weighted with implications. Their entire relationship, from first meeting to marriage to separation, manipulated by unseen hands. Did you know? She finally asked, the question that had haunted her for months. About my sterility, yes, he admitted. About everything else, the manipulation, your family being targeted, Marcus's involvement. No, I swear to you. Rain tapped against windows as Jasmine absorbed his words. Outside, Manhattan lights blurred through water-streaked glass. I believe you, she said eventually. 3 words, simple yet profound. The first bridge across their shattered trust. Dawn broke over the city as they examined remaining files. Project Phoenix extended beyond Carter Innovations into pharmaceutical companies, government research, private equity firms. Tentacles reaching into institutions worldwide. We can't fight this alone, Joseph realized. These people made me sterile, manipulated our marriage, shot your sister. They'll stop at nothing. We need leverage, Jasmine agreed. Something they want more than silencing us. Joseph opened his laptop, accessing Carter Innovations' secure servers using emergency protocols. What are you doing? Jasmine asked. Creating insurance, he replied, fingers flying across keys. transferring Project Phoenix data to secure locations worldwide. If anything happens to us, everything goes public automatically. They'll come after us, she warned. They already are. Their eyes met across the table. Former lovers, now reluctant allies against a common enemy. The wall between them remained, but windows had opened. Tamara appeared in the doorway, pale but standing. What did I miss? We're fighting back, Joseph told her. She crossed to the table, sliding into a chair beside Jasmine, who squeezed her hand. Sisterhood reasserting itself despite complications. I found something in the files, Tamara said, pulling up documents on her phone. Project Phoenix isn't just about harvesting genetics. They're developing a treatment, using Brown family DNA to create universal fertility solutions, including a cure for conditions like mine, Joseph realized. Dawn broke over the Manhattan skyline as Joseph showed them both what Project Phoenix really was, not just a cure for genetic diseases, but a revolutionary treatment that could reverse his own condition. This is why they wanted me gone, he whispered. I was going to make it free for everyone. When trapped between danger and desire, which would you choose? Has crisis ever rekindled feelings you thought were dead? Have you experienced moments when enemies became allies against a greater threat? Share your thoughts on whether shared danger can rebuild trust that betrayal destroyed. The Upper East Side Hotel suite became their war room, battle plans drawn between stolen glances and electric touches that reminded them why they once couldn't keep their hands off each other. The Monaco Group owns controlling interest in 3 pharmaceutical companies linked to Phoenix, Joseph explained, spreading documents across the king-sized bed that dominated their suite at the Carlisle. 3 days since Brooklyn. 3 days hiding in upscale anonymity, room service and burner phones their connection to the outside world. Tamara occupied the adjoining room, her wound healing well. Jasmine highlighted documents, hair piled messily atop her head, glasses perched on her nose. The scholar Joseph had fallen for years ago, emerging from beneath the polished nonprofit director. Monaco's CEO attends Tamara's fashion show tomorrow night, she noted. Perfect opportunity to plant the evidence. In the tracker, Joseph added, follow the data back to central servers. Their strategy had evolved from simple escape to elaborate counterattack. Using Tamara's already scheduled New York Fashion Week show as cover, they'd plant tracking software on Monaco executives' devices, following digital breadcrumbs to Project Phoenix's core. Jasmine closed her laptop, rubbing tired eyes. Will it work? It has to, Joseph replied. Years of confidence stripped away, leaving raw honesty. It's our only chance. Silence settled between them. Not the angry silence of their separation, nor the comfortable silence of their marriage. Something new, tentative questioning. I should check on Tamara, Jasmine said, rising from the bed they'd carefully shared without touching, maintaining invisible boundaries even in close quarters. She texted earlier, asleep already. Another silence. Jasmine moved to the window overlooking Madison Avenue, city lights reflecting in glass. Joseph watched her silhouette, familiar curves and angles he'd memorized through years of love. I missed you, he said quietly, words held back for months finally breaking free. She turned, expression unreadable. I missed who I thought you were. I'm still that person. He approached slowly, stopping with respectful distance between them. I lied about one thing, my sterility. Everything else was real. Was it? Her voice caught. Or were we puppets in someone else's experiment? What I felt for you, what I still feel, that's mine, not theirs. Her eyes searched his face, looking for truth or deception. How do we know what's real anymore? This feels real, he said, carefully taking her hand. First intentional contact since Los Angeles. Her fingers remained stiff for one heartbeat, two, before slowly relaxing against his. Joseph, we might die tomorrow, he whispered. If these people find us before we expose them. Don't say that. Her free hand rose to his cheek, muscle memory overriding caution. I need you to know, whatever happens, Loving you was never part of any experiment. It was the most real thing in my life. Something broke in her expression, walls crumbling after months of reinforcement. She closed the distance between them, lips meeting his with hunger that surprised them both. Years of knowledge guided their movements, his hands finding the sensitive spot at the base of her spine, her fingers threading through his hair exactly as they always had. Bodies remembering what minds had tried to forget. "Is this a mistake?" she gasped as he lifted her against the wall, legs wrapping around his waist. "If it is," he breathed against her neck, "it's ours. No one else's." They claimed each other with desperate intensity, clothes discarded, caution abandoned. Each touch an assertion of free will against manipulation. Each kiss a declaration of what remained between them despite betrayal. Later, tangled in hotel sheets, Jasmine traced patterns on his chest. "This doesn't fix everything." "I know," he agreed, kissing her forehead. "But it's a start." With Tamara's fashion show providing perfect cover for their trap, none of them noticed the hotel room camera blinking silently. Their every word, touch, and plans streaming directly to Marcus. Is physical reconnection the first step to emotional healing or the last? Share your thoughts on forgiveness and intimacy. Have you ever returned to someone who hurt you, and did physical chemistry cloud your judgment? When is vulnerability courage, and when is it weakness? Comment below about moments when your heart overruled your logical mind. Cameras flashed on Tamara's models while backstage. 3 lives hung in the balance of a USB drive and the truth it contained about power, greed, and genetic revolution. Fashion Week transformed the historic Brooklyn Navy Yard, where days earlier they'd faced bullets, into a cathedral of couture. Tamara's runway extended over reflecting pools, A-list celebrities and industry titans filling front rows beneath industrial rafters draped with silk. Monaco executives confirmed in seats C4 through C7. Joseph murmured into his hidden mic, adjusting his Tom Ford suit while scanning the audience for backstage shadows. Targets identified. Jasmine confirmed from her position near the sound booth, tablet displaying security feeds. Her black cocktail dress and strategic position marked her as event staff rather than guest. Tamara directed models with composed precision despite her bandaged arm concealed beneath a designer blazer. None of her team knew their show doubled as espionage operation. Final model walks in 30 seconds, Tamara announced, seemingly addressing her assistants while actually alerting Joseph and Jasmine. Commence qu'on donne. Joseph moved toward the hospitality area where guests had checked phones and electronics. New York Fashion Week's notorious no-recording policy providing perfect cover. He slipped behind the check-in desk, accessing devices while security focused on runway spectacle. Package 1 delivered, he confirmed, having uploaded tracking software to Monaco executives' phones. Moving to position for reception infiltration. Applause thundered as Tamara's final look, a breathtaking gown symbolizing rebirth, completed the runway presentation. House lights rose while Tamara emerged for her bow. Audience rising in standing ovation. Phase 2 initiated. Jasmine confirmed, watching Monaco executives retrieve their compromised devices before heading toward the champagne reception. Joseph circulated through Fashion Elite, charm fully deployed as he approached his targets. "Mr. Monaco," he greeted the silver-haired CEO. "Joseph Carter, your pharmaceutical division does extraordinary work." Recognition flashed across Monaco's face, followed immediately by calculation. "Mr. Carter, unexpected pleasure. I understood you'd withdrawn from public appearances." For a time, Joseph acknowledged. "Recent events have provided clarity." Indeed, Monaco's voice remained pleasant while his eyes turned cold. "I heard rumors about Project Phoenix being compromised." Joseph's smile never faltered. "Perhaps we should discuss privately." Monaco nodded toward a secluded corner. "After you." From her surveillance position, Jasmine tracked their movement with growing concern. "He's too comfortable," she whispered to Tamara, who had joined her after completing press obligations. "Joseph's walking into something." Monaco led Joseph toward a service corridor. Away from witnesses, away from safety. Joseph, aboard. Jasmine urged through comms. Something's wrong. Too late. As they turned the corner, Marcus Bennett appeared with 2 security personnel. Joseph froze, options evaporating. I warned you, Marcus said quietly. Too many powerful people involved. Monaco smiled thinly. Mr. Carter, you've been extraordinarily troublesome. The files are already distributed. Joseph bluffed. Anything happens to me, everything goes public. A risk we'll manage, Monaco replied. Your unfortunate overdose will dominate headlines briefly, then fade like all celebrity tragedies. Jasmine watched in horror as security moved toward Joseph. She grabbed Tamara's arm. Emergency protocol. Now. Backstage monitors suddenly flashed with Project Phoenix data, genetic profiles, unauthorized testing, financial transactions. Simultaneously, every phone in the reception area chimed with incoming files. Monaco's face drained of color as guests began murmuring, screens filling with evidence. What have you done? He demanded, turning toward Joseph. Insurance policy, Joseph replied as security hesitated, unsure which crisis to address first. Chaos erupted. Fashion elite stared at phones displaying classified research. Reporters present for runway coverage suddenly found themselves witnessing breaking scandal. Monaco executives scrambled uselessly to contain digital wildfire. Joseph used the distraction to break away, sprinting toward the main reception area. Marcus followed, gun partially concealed beneath his jacket. Joseph, Jasmine called, spotting him through the crowd. Their eyes met across the room, a moment of connection amid chaos. Then Marcus emerged behind Joseph, weapon now visible. Tamara reacted first, grabbing a champagne bottle and hurling it with perfect accuracy. Glass shattered against Marcus's arm, sending the gun clattering across floor tiles. Security converged from all directions. Fashion show security, venue personnel, undercover police drawn by commotion. Marcus found himself surrounded. Monaco executives similarly cornered by guests demanding explanations about data on their phones. Joseph reached Jasmine and Tamara, pulling them toward exit doors. We need to leave. Now. As they pushed through emergency exit, police sirens wailed in distance. Evidence was public, authorities incoming, Project Phoenix exposed beyond containment. Outside, their driver waited as planned. As they slid into the car, Jasmine's phone rang, Dr. Chin's number flashing on screen. As Marcus was led away in handcuffs, the doctor approached with test results from Joseph's latest treatment. It worked, she whispered. Joseph froze, eyes finding Jasmine across the room. The possibility neither dared hope for now suddenly real. Would you choose truth or protection? Public justice or private peace? The hardest choices define us. What defined you? Have you ever risked everything to expose wrongdoing? Share your experience with moments when standing up for truth seemed impossible but necessary. Or have you chosen the difficult right over the easy wrong? 1 year later, their Harlem brownstone echoed with possibility, proving some bonds transcend DNA and family means more than genetic connection. Morning light streamed through stained glass, painting rainbow patterns across hardwood floors. Joseph stood at the nursery window, watching Harlem awaken from its overnight slumber. Behind him, walls glowed soft yellow, hand-painted constellations spanning the ceiling. Not just stars from fairy tales, but the actual night sky that had watched over Brooklyn the night they reunited. So much had changed in 12 months. Project Phoenix executives faced federal charges for unauthorized human experimentation and corporate fraud. Monaco Pharmaceutical had collapsed under regulatory scrutiny and class action lawsuits. Marcus awaited trial, refusing plea deals that required testimony against higher powers. Carter Innovations emerged transformed, reborn under joint leadership of Joseph and Jasmine, with clear ethical frameworks governing all research. Their groundbreaking fertility treatments, developed from Project Phoenix data but now available to everyone regardless of wealth, had revolutionized reproductive medicine worldwide. The company headquarters had relocated to New York, occupying a renovated historic building in Brooklyn where community health programs operated alongside cutting-edge laboratories. The Brown Family Genetics Center provided free fertility services to those who couldn't afford treatment elsewhere. Footsteps approached from the hallway, Jasmine appearing in the doorway, barefoot in sleep shorts and his old Stanford t-shirt stretched across her 7-month pregnant belly. "You're up early," she murmured, joining him at the window. "Couldn't sleep," he admitted, hand naturally finding the curve of her stomach. "Still can't believe it sometimes." Dr. Chin's experimental treatment, developed from Project Phoenix research but refined with ethical protocols, had gradually reversed Joseph's engineered sterility. 6 months of gene therapy, followed by another 6 of anxious waiting and testing, had restored what had been stolen from him years ago. "Believe it," Jasmine smiled, placing her hand over his where their daughter kicked against his palm. "She's very real." Their reconciliation hadn't been simple. Trust rebuilt slowly, piece by piece, conversation by difficult conversation. They'd renewed vows privately on Brooklyn Bridge at sunrise. No guests, no pretense, only truth between them. Tamara visited weekly from her Los Angeles design studio, her fashion empire expanding while she developed medical-grade clothing for patients with genetic conditions. Her relationship with Joseph had transformed from complicated attraction to genuine friendship. The crucible of danger, burning away inappropriate feelings and forging family bonds instead. "Tamara's plane lands at noon," Jasmine reminded him, checking her phone. "She's bringing nursery curtains she designed." Joseph nodded, arms encircling her from behind, chin resting on her shoulder. "I approve the new advertising campaign for the fertility centers. 6 locations opening next quarter. Making it accessible to everyone," Jasmine said softly. "Just like you promised." They stood together watching morning light strengthen across Harlem rooftops. Their journey from Silicon Valley perfection to New York authenticity had cost them everything before giving it back transformed. Joseph placed his hand on Jasmine's growing belly, where life they'd created by choice, not contract, stirred beneath her skin. "This is what happens," he whispered, "when sacrifice becomes celebration." Later, as afternoon sun warmed their bedroom, Joseph kissed Jasmine with reverence that had deepened, not diminished with time, each touch a reminder that her body had never been a transaction, but always a temple, worthy of worship even before he recognized its worth. "I love you," he murmured against her neck, "not because of what we've built or what we've overcome." "Why then?" she asked, fingers tracing the familiar path along his jaw. "Because you saw me, truly saw me, at my worst, and chose to stay anyway." Her smile contained everything he'd ever needed. "That's what family does." "What defines family for you? Is it blood, choice, or something else entirely? Share what bonds matter most in your life." "So what would you do if someone saw your worth before you believed in it yourself? Would you run? Or would you build something that lasts?" Comment below with what you would have done in Jasmine's shoes. If this story touched your heart, hit that like button. Subscribe for more stories that make you feel, think, and maybe even heal a little. Tell me in the comments what aspect of their journey resonated most with you. And remember, the most powerful love doesn't rescue you from your life. It recognizes the strength that's been there all along.